Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to see you again. If you're new here, I'm really glad you stopped by, and if you've been following me for a while, thank you so much for coming back. Today, we're going to talk about something that's super important for every English learner out there. We're going to explore how to test your English level and why it's so important to do that regularly. Now, before we dive into all the ways to check your English skills, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt stuck while learning English? Like, you study for hours, you memorize a lot of words and grammar rules, but somehow, you don't feel like you're improving. Or maybe you don't know what your actual level is because you've never really tested yourself. If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're definitely not alone. Many people feel the same way. So why is it so important to know your English level? Well, here's the thing. If you don't know where you are, how do you know where to go? Learning a language without knowing your level is like trying to find your way in a new city without a map. You might wander around and get lost or spend time learning things that are either too easy or way too difficult for you. And that can be super frustrating. Knowing your level helps you choose the right study materials. For example, if you're a beginner, starting with very advanced English books or movies might be confusing and even discouraging. But if you're at an intermediate level and you keep using beginner materials, you might get bored and stop learning. So, testing your level is like having a personalized roadmap that tells you exactly what kind of English you should focus on: vocabulary, grammar, listening, or speaking. Another reason why testing your level is important is that it helps you set realistic goals. When you know your strengths and weaknesses, you can plan your learning journey better. For instance, if you realize your grammar is strong but your speaking is weak, you can spend more time practicing conversations and less time on grammar drills. This way, your practice becomes more effective and fun. Also, testing your level regularly, maybe every few months, lets you see how far you've come. This is super motivating because you can track your progress, celebrate your achievements, and stay inspired to keep going. Sometimes, when you're learning a language, progress feels slow or invisible. But a test can show you clear results, and that little boost of confidence makes a huge difference. Now, when we talk about testing your level, many people imagine formal exams like IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge tests. And yes, those are very official ways to measure your English skills, especially if you need to study or work abroad. But here's the good news: you don't have to take expensive or complicated tests to check your level. There are lots of simple, free, and easy ways to do it at home or online. For example, you can try online placement tests. These tests usually have questions about grammar, vocabulary, reading, and sometimes listening. They give you a quick snapshot of your level, usually classified as A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, or C2. These letters and numbers come from the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR for short, which is a global standard for measuring language ability. If you're not familiar with CEFR levels, don't worry, I'll explain them in another video. But basically, A1 and A2 are beginner levels, B1 and B2 are intermediate, and C1 and C2 are advanced levels. Knowing which level you're at helps you understand what you can do with your English. For example, if you're B1, you might be able to handle everyday conversations but not yet understand complicated texts or express yourself fluently in professional situations. Testing your level is also about understanding different skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Sometimes people are strong in one skill but weaker in others. For example, you might be really good at reading and writing but find listening and speaking very challenging. A good test or self-assessment helps you see these differences and focus on improving the parts that need more work. Finally, don't forget that testing your English level is not about getting a perfect score or feeling judged. It's about understanding yourself better as a learner. Language learning is a journey, and everyone moves at their own pace. The goal is to keep moving forward, step by step, and testing your level is a helpful tool to guide you on that path. So, today's video is just the beginning. I'll be sharing with you some of my favorite ways to test your English level, including online tools, fun quizzes, and practical self-assessment techniques you can do by yourself. Plus, I'll talk about the difference between Bookish English, which is what you learn from textbooks, and real English, which is how people actually speak and use the language every day. That's super important because sometimes tests don't show how well you can actually communicate. Alright, if you're excited to find out how to check your English level and start improving in the right direction, make sure you watch the next parts of this video. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of my future English learning tips. Also, if you have any questions about testing your level or anything else related to learning English, just leave a comment below. I love hearing from you and I'm here to help. Thanks so much for watching this part. I'm really looking forward to sharing the rest with you. Remember, knowing your English level is the first step toward becoming a confident and fluent speaker. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next part. Alright, welcome to part 2. Now that we've talked about why it's important to test your English level, let's get into the how. How can you actually check your English level? What are the easiest and most effective ways to do this? First things first, the easiest way to test your English level is by using online placement tests. These are quizzes or exams you can take on websites, and many of them are free. They usually take about 10 to 20 minutes, which is perfect if you want a quick check without spending too much time. These tests typically include different types of questions. For example, you'll find grammar questions, vocabulary exercises, and reading comprehension passages. Some tests also include listening parts where you listen to audio clips and answer questions about them. The goal is to get a clear idea of your strengths and weaknesses across different skills. Once you finish, the test usually gives you a level based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR, which I mentioned before. This framework is a great way to standardize your English level so it makes sense no matter where you are or who you talk to. The levels go from A1 beginner all the way up to C2 mastery. So if your result says B2, for example, it means you have an upper intermediate level. You can hold conversations about familiar topics and understand most everyday English but might still struggle with very complex or technical language. One of the best things about these online tests is that you get instant feedback. You see your score right away, and sometimes the test even explains why certain answers are right or wrong. This is super helpful because you can learn while you're testing yourself. Plus, many of these tests recommend resources and exercises based on your level, so you can start improving immediately. But, I want to be honest with you, online placement tests have their limits. They're great for a quick check, but they might not be 100% accurate. Why? Because language is more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's also about how well you understand spoken English and how easily you can communicate your thoughts, things that a simple test can't always measure perfectly. That's why I recommend combining an online test with other ways of assessing your level. One simple way is to self-assess your English based on your daily life. Ask yourself questions like these. Can I understand movies or TV shows in English without subtitles? Am I able to read books, articles, or websites in English and understand most of the content? Can I hold a conversation with a native speaker without feeling lost? Can I write emails, messages, or short essays in English clearly? Answering these honestly gives you a practical idea of your real-world English skills. You can even write down your answers and rate yourself from 1 to 5 on each skill: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This helps you see which skills are strong and which ones need more work. For example, you might find out that your reading is really good but speaking needs a lot of practice. That's valuable information because it guides you on where to focus your efforts. Another cool way to test your level is by recording yourself speaking. Choose a topic you like, maybe introduce yourself, talk about your favorite hobby, or describe a recent trip. Record yourself on your phone or computer, then listen carefully. Do you speak clearly? Do you hesitate a lot? Do you make many mistakes? This method helps you get used to hearing your own voice in English and noticing areas to improve. You can also share your recording with a teacher, a language partner, or even on social media groups focused on English learning. Getting feedback from others is super helpful because they can tell you things you might not notice yourself. Another fun and useful way to check your English level is by joining English speaking clubs or online conversation groups. These can be local meetups or virtual groups on platforms like Zoom, Discord, or WhatsApp. When you participate in live conversations with other learners or native speakers, you get a real test of your speaking and listening skills. You'll notice how easy or hard it is to keep up with the conversation, understand slang or idioms, and express your ideas clearly. Sometimes, after a conversation, you might realize, wow, I understood everything. Or maybe, I need to improve my listening. Both reactions are great because they give you honest feedback on your level. And here's a bonus tip: try to read English books or articles that match your level and see how comfortable you are. If you get stuck on every other word, the text is probably too hard. But if you understand most of it without checking the dictionary every few seconds, you're probably reading at the right level or just a bit above it, which is perfect for learning new things without frustration. Remember, testing your English level is not just a one-time thing. It's something you should do regularly, maybe every 3 to 6 months, to check your progress and adjust your learning plan. Your level can change quickly if you practice consistently, so keep testing yourself to stay motivated and on track. To summarize, here are the main ways to test your English level. 1. Take online placement tests for a quick, official-style result. 2. Self-assess your skills by asking practical questions about what you can do. 3. Record yourself speaking and listen for mistakes or hesitations. 4. Join conversation groups to experience real-life English practice. 5. Read books or articles that are suitable for your level and see how well you understand. If you combine these methods, you'll get a much clearer and more accurate picture of your English abilities. In the next part, I'll talk about the difference between bookish English and real English, and why knowing this difference will help you improve even faster. So, make sure to stay tuned. And before we move on, if you found this part helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and leave a comment below telling me which test or method you're going to try first. I love hearing from you. Thanks for watching part 2, let's keep improving together.